Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever attempt at vlogging. I'm here at the British Women's Chess Championships 2021, which is held at the University of Hull. And I actually didn't have much time to film in between the rounds because I was focused on the chess and stuff. So it's actually the end of the tournament now when I'm filming this. And I'm just sort of chilling in the kitchen. You can see like the views behind me from the window out of the kitchen. And so I actually have a bye in the final round, which I'm disappointed about because I wanted to play more chess. I was really enjoying it. But it means I'll finish the tournament 4.5 out of 7. I'm still waiting for the final few rounds to finish at this point to find out exactly where I place and how I come, whether I win anything. But I've calculated I should win at least the performance prize, and I'm gaining rating points, so that's obviously always good. But yeah, I'm just going to show you some of the areas of the campus and the tournament where we were, what the accommodation's like. So if you're interested in student accommodation at all, we're just staying in the university, then you might want to watch it for that. Or if you just want to see like what the playing conditions were like for this chess thing. And I think it's going to be the same sort of thing next week for the 4NCL Hull International thing. So if you're playing that, then you can sort of have a head start looking at what you might be staying in. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy and I will see you all soon. So this is like the kitchen area in the accommodation. So it's like a huge space. We have like a sofa and some seating areas around here. And then there's like loads of fridges and freezers, ovens and stuff. And then because we're on the 4th floor, you can look out the windows across the campus. So it's quite nice because there are like 5 of us sharing this kitchen, but normally as a student there would be 8. So this is the like bedroom that I was staying in. So you obviously get lots of storage units and stuff, a desk. You can see I'm like following the live games at the moment that's going on to see how they go. 3/4 bed, more storage space up here. Again, some interesting views across of trees and buildings and stuff. And then on the side we have an ensuite. So we got a nice shower in there as well. Shower water pressure is actually really quite nice. So at the moment I'm just like walking across campus to where the playing hall is. It's quite a nice venue actually because it's at the university. We got like this big fieldy area and we walk past some university buildings. So it's 3 minutes walk, and I think everything was like on the campus site. So if we look just like up here on the left, there's actually a spa, which is obviously quite convenient, though I did walk to Lidl one day to get food because it was like so nice and cheap. But yeah, so they just got like a spa here on site, and these are all some like random university buildings. Not really entirely sure which is which. I just worked out like which way I need to go. And in this building here, the Cannon Turner building, this is where the chess was, and also breakfast for that matter. So I'm just gonna head in there now. So this is like the playing hall. It's quite small because there were only like 11 players and a couple dropped out, so we only have 5 boards. But they're like really nice boards, live boards set up. And obviously these cool like name place things to show who's where. The arbiters sit here. They got the trophies ready to present at the end. Okay, so I would like to analyse one of my games from the tournament, and I have chosen my game from round 1 against a junior named Prachi Arora. And she qualified for this by getting 5 out of 5 in the women's qualifier back online over the summer. So I was a bit nervous about this game. Didn't really know what to expect, and it was difficult to prepare for her. But I had a good game, so it's worth looking at. So she started with e4, and as you all know, I obviously go for e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. This is all standard. You'll have seen this many times before. And then knight c3, which is an inaccuracy here, because it allows black to play this move. Knight takes e4, sacrificing a piece temporarily. And at first it doesn't necessarily look good until you see, after they recapture, we have this pawn move d5, forking the 2 pieces. Now this is the line she went for. There are other ways you can give up the piece. I think white's best move is normally to play bishop takes f7 check here. And there's a lot of interesting theory in this line, where material's technically equal, but black has a really good pawn center and black should just be a lot better. So white can try and attack black's king. So in some lines you do have to be a bit careful. But in the game, she took allowing this d5 move. And again, she made another inaccuracy here by playing bishop takes d5. Instead, and you should just play bishop d3. When after takes, f5 isn't really possible because then we'll take on c6, and suddenly white's the one that's doing okay, winning a pawn and weakening black's pawns. And then if f5 isn't possible, this bishop can sort of sit on e4. And black should be doing okay after just a simple developing move. I think maybe something like bishop d6, or we could move our knight away to avoid having our pawns doubled. And we just have a game of chess. But she took on d5, queen takes d5, and went for knight c3. And here I had a bit of a think, because I didn't really know this line, because I know it's not white's best way of playing. I wasn't sure where the best square to put my queen was. I considered retreating it all the way back to d8, just sort of sitting on the position. I considered, I guess, other moves. There's many options. And in the end, I decided to treat it almost like a Scandinavian, where we've had some extra moves, and went for queen a5, with the idea that I wanted to develop my bishop and then castle queenside pretty quickly. So she castled. I played bishop g4. Obviously, now it makes d4 a difficult move for her to play. And I have ideas of playing knight d4 myself instead and putting pressure on this knight, or potentially e4 in some cases. So she went rook e1. I continued with my plan of just castling queenside. And here she went d3. Again, she can't ever play d4. I was considering whether she might have been better off playing a move like h3 first, just because I don't want to take this knight yet. And I retreat back. And the plan isn't to play g4 or anything. It's more just so that her king now has a hole to escape to. And it's probably always useful for her to have this move thrown in. I guess if she did go for this, I'd be quite happy, because I have a really clear plan of h5 and undermining her king side. But maybe she can just play d3 here and have a slightly improved version of what she got in the game. But she went d3 immediately. This allows me to just hop my knight into d4 and put pressure on this pinned knight here. And obviously I'm going to capture this knight at some point and mess up her pawns around her king. So she went king h1. I'm not convinced that's necessarily the best way to play, but I think black's already probably a lot better here. Let's just say she played something like bishop e3. I have a choice of whether I take with the knight and then go bishop h3 and have some kind of plan of queen coming across to the king side. Or I could choose to take with the bishop instead, leave this knight here for now, maybe play a move like f5, again trying to attack her king. But she went king h1. So I decided not to capture here yet. I was going to wait until she sort of provoked this capture. And I just developed another piece with bishop d6. So it's defending this pawn, which she was potentially threatening to take with the king on h1, because if I just play some random move, maybe it doesn't work anyway, but it's a move that she's going to be considering every single time. But I can probably just get away with something like this, when black must be doing well. I guess we've got moves like rook e8 straight away. But yeah, she's always got that to consider. So bishop d6 means that that's never a possibility. And also I'm lining this bishop up against the king. So I have potential ideas of, again, being able to take, and then maybe the queen comes across and we put pressure on h2. So she went bishop d2. And obviously her clear idea now is she wants to play a move like knight e4 when my queen gets lost. It's worth noting that she can't play knight e4 straight away. This was a move that I was trying to tempt her to play because of this attack that we'll end up getting across on this rook. So I was tempting her to play this. But the idea is that you can actually just take this pawn twice, because the queen can never capture because it takes e1 check. Again, maybe taking with the knight is an even better way of doing it, because now if they take, we fork the king and queen as well, which is quite nice. So that was why I was trying to tempt that as well. But bishop d2, now she is threatening it. So queen c5. Again, if she comes here trying to get the bishop pair, I now have this idea of queen takes c2, and I calculated that this should all work out fine for black. Obviously, if they trade queens, the rooks are forked, and if they try and throw in some intermezzo taking on d4, we'll take off twice on d1 and then on d4. And if we count the material, we end up an exchange up, along with an extra pawn as well. And an exchange and a pawn is enough to win. So she went bishop e3 then. Again, she wants to keep threatening this move. So now it's time to actually play a capture. Because if I don't take on f3 now, she can take on d4. And after a retake, I'm never going to have this bishop takes f3 capture, because the queen will be able to take. And I want to be able to force g takes f3. So now I play bishop takes f3, so they have to take with. And then I played this move f5, which I was quite pleased with. So the idea is that I have multiple options. I might go f4, trying to force this bishop to make a decision, where if it takes my knight, then I will recapture, and if it moves back, then I'll start putting pressure on this f3 pawn again. Also, potentially ideas of going e4 at some point and queen e5, attacking here. Multiple moves are possible. It's just quite a strong move, I think. Also, does give some kind of idea of rook coming to h6 via the f file. So she plays knight e2. I guess if she had taken here immediately, I have options of either taking with the pawn or with the queen. And maybe she was a bit worried about queen takes for some reason. I guess queen coming to h4 is a problem, queen attacking f2. So her idea was if she plays knight e2, she'll be able to force the capture. She's also threatening c3, so I need to do something about this. So I played queen d5. My idea is that I'm now putting pressure on f3, and if she takes, I'll just recapture. And when the bishop moves somewhere, I will probably just swing my queen back to f7 and h5 and put pressure on h2. She blundered here and went c4, attacking my queen, completely missing the fact that I could just take on f3 check. King moves, and then here I had some accurate moves to finish the game. Queen g4 check, king back to h1, knight to f3, bringing my pieces in. Knight g1, and again, more accurate moves. Instead of just taking off this rook and being an exchange up, I'll go for e4, trying to open up more lines for this bishop here and really playing for the attack. And obviously if they ever take with the knight here, I can take with the pawn, threatening checkmate, rook g1, queen h3, threatening another checkmate. And they'll have to give up a checkmate somehow. I guess rook g3, and again I'm still threatening lots of checkmates. So they'll just have to give up a whole rook. So she took on e4, f takes e4, and she went h3. And here I had quite a long think before I decided on my move of queen h4. And it's one of those moves where it's not necessarily the best move in an accuracy test sort of way. Queen f5 was probably the best move, and I did realise that, but it was more realising that she was making mistakes and kind of playing against that, like queen h4 is winning as well. So I think her best defence here is queen d5, which I'd seen for her, with the idea of trying to throw in some kind of queen check to be able to defend the h3 pawn, and I was going to follow up with king b8, where she can get some play with bishop takes a7 check and rook takes e4, but after a move just like bishop f4 blocking the diagonal, I should just be completely fine still. My king is safe. If she ever gives a check, I just run back to b8. So that was the plan, but she blundered again and played knight takes f3, and presumably she thought that I would take like this, and after queen takes c4, black is better, but white is still in the game and has stuff to play for. Instead, she'd missed I have this intermezzo queen takes h3 check, because the knight cannot move to h2 to block because of queen takes h2 checkmate, and we realise this bishop on d6 is doing a lot of good. She plays king g1, and I just simply captured on e3, threatening this checkmate, and after queen d2 I played queen g2 checkmate and won the game with a checkmate in 24 moves. So that was quite a nice game from me. Obviously my opponent did make mistakes, but it was nice to get off to a pleasing start with some accurate play, and obviously the rest of my tournament did go fairly well. So just to summarise my results from the British Women's Chess Championships, in round 1, I won against Prachi Aurora, who does not have a FIDE rating. Round 2, I got a draw against International Master Harriet Hunt, 2400. Round 3, I sadly lost against Audrey, who is 2080. Round 4, I beat Anusha Subramanian, again another unrated player. Round 5, I beat Katerina Toma, a WGM. And in round 6, I lost to Ketavan, who is a GM. And sadly, in round 7, I had a bye. So overall, my rating performance was 2088, and my FIDE rating will be going up 18 points. If we look at the final standings, Harriet won the tournament with 5.5 out of 7. Katerina came second with 5 out of 7. And Audrey, Ketavan and myself all shared third equal with 4.5 out of 7. Sadly, I lost out on tie breaks, as the first tie break was head-to-head and I had lost to both of them. Unfortunate, as if it had been on the Buchholz tie break straight away, I would have won, as I had had better results against the stronger players in first and second. Unfortunately, I did not win the performance prize, as Audrey had a slightly higher rating gain than me. This was because I had the bye in the last round. If I'd had a game against someone and won the game, I would have had a higher rating performance. So this is really, really disappointing, as anyone I played, I would have stood a good chance of winning against. But overall, I think I can be pleased with my performance, and here's to next year and trying to become British Women's Champion.